So it's time for a little sketch. And I want you to imagine yourselves for a moment in the offices of the major audit and accountancy firm Bodgett and Scarpa LLP, and particularly in the office of audit partner Sebastian Tickenbash. Right, here we go. Oh, morning, Tom. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Tickenbash. I'm not too bad, thank you. I was just wondering if you knew what audit clients I might be working on this week.
Ah, yes, good question. Let me just have a look at the audit roster for next week. Just bear with me.
Thank you, Mr. Tickenbash, sir.
Let's have a look at this. Blenkinsop, Davies, Hargreaves, McTavish, Perkins. Here we are, Thomas Ticker. Yes, I've put you down. I've put you down to work at Megabank.
Megabank?
Megabank, yes, they are the biggest and fastest growing investment bank in the world. And I reckon you could do that. Do it by yourself. I mean, it's pretty easy. Just go and do it next week. And then come back. It'd be great.
Me?
Exciting, isn't it?
Exciting. Very, very exciting, sir. But you have remembered that I am the audit junior. And I only started here after finishing my accounting degree last week at the University of Winslow.
Yes, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You will be absolutely fine. Off you go, and we'll see you at the end of next week. Well done. Okay. Cheerio.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Are you sure? Are we okay? I mean, I think Megabank is an international bank, and well, I think that there are some things that I need to understand. I think they've got like international accounting standards and other things.
Oh yes, well, that's a very good point. Why don't you take this? This is my book of International Financial Reporting Standards. It's quite a big book, but I reckon you can get through that this week. And
Brilliant.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
For Monday?
Yeah, off you go.
For Monday, brilliant.
Off you go. Close the door on the way out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just one other thing. I'm not really sure I know anything about investment banking either, sir. I wonder if you might be able to help me there.
Yes, that is a good point, isn't it?
Yes, thank you.
Well, fortunately, I've also got a book on economics.
Oh, fabulous. Excellent.
And in the middle of this, there are 2 or 3 very, very good chapters on capital markets.
Capital markets, you say?
So read that.
Brilliant.
This week, and then you'll be fine.
And
you'll be absolutely
and I'll be okay
fine.
With all these things.
Now,
excellent.
Off you go.
Okay, brilliant.
I'm in a hurry. I need to book my Ashes tickets for...
excellent, sir.
So,
okay.
Very good.
I'm really just terribly sorry. Terribly, terribly sorry, Mr. Tickenbash. Sorry, sir. I've got another little concern.
Yes, yeah.
I've got a feeling that these banks, they're quite mathematical.
Calculator.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And I've heard those traders, they're very scary people. I'm frightfully scared that they'll shout at a poor little auditor like me, sir.
Tom, that is nonsense. Remember that you go with my authority.
Your authority.
So if those nasty traders give you any jip at all,
yes, sir,
tell them that you work for Mr. Tickenbash.
Mr. Tickenbash.
And if they give you any jip, I will phone them and I will close their bank down in a jiffy.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, sir. I've got it, I think, hopefully. I feel so much better equipped now. I've got my book on capital markets, my book on international accounting standards, and my trusty calculator. And on top of all of that, I've got your authority. I'm feeling so much more confident now, sir. I will see you in a week's time.
And that's not the only thing, Tom. Oh. You've got your book on capital markets.
Yes, I have.
You've got your book on international financial reporting standards. You've got your calculator. You go with my authority.
Your authority, sir.
But remember, here at Bodgett and Scarpa, we hire only the best people.
Only the best.
Tom, you go with your wits and the gifts that God has given you. And those are the gifts, those are the reasons why we hired you here at Bodgett and Scarpa.
Thank you very much, sir.
Tom, you will be amazing. Go now.
I'm going, sir.
And knock them dead.
I'm on it.
Let's have a little round of applause for Tom Ticker. So, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of, well, I was going to call it wisdom, but probably foolishness, from the office of Sebastian Tickenbash, the audit partner of Bodgett and Scarpa LLP. And I suspect you are probably now wondering what on earth any of that has to do with Trinity Sunday. Because, of course, this first Sunday after Pentecost is a time when the church traditionally celebrates the doctrine of the Trinity, this fundamental part of our belief in one God in three persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's traditionally regarded as a Sunday for preachers to avoid if they possibly can, given the theological rocket science that it can potentially involve. And as an aside, I was reflecting last week that in nearly 8 years since I started preaching, I have, until this very morning, managed not to preach on Trinity Sunday. And I'm sure that was entirely unintentional. But I can assure you that this talk will not be a detailed exposition of the Arian and the Athanasian perspectives on the Trinitarian debate. That is, you will be pleased to know, for another day. Because this morning's reading, the Great Commission, from the very end of Matthew's Gospel, has so much for us to unpack, quite apart from it being the only time when Jesus refers directly to the Trinity, to Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So Jesus is back at the mountain where it all started, very likely at the same place that he gave his Sermon on the Mount at the very beginning of his ministry, including, of course, the Beatitudes that we spent so much time studying during Lent. And now the risen Jesus is delivering his final instruction to his disciples and to us. It stopped flashing. Fingers crossed. Everybody pray. Where was I? Bear with me. Yeah, so the risen Jesus is delivering this great commission, his final instruction to his disciples and to... No, it's fine for the moment, thank you. And to us, his church. They are words that have resonated deeply within the church for 2,000 years and will continue to guide and inform our understanding of God's mission until it is fulfilled. And now I'm going to pause while we try and... That's... If I went forward and the box went... No, I think that's good. There we go. Thank you, Pit team. All very good. We're learning with this microphone, aren't we? But it's good. So for some of the disciples, it was a time for worship. But Matthew tells us that some of the disciples doubted, perhaps not unlike Tom in our little sketch a moment ago, overawed by events and what on earth was coming next. This was a time of hope, of triumph, and of expectation, but also a good deal of doubt and fear. And Jesus is speaking into that very moment. And he utters these amazing words that are so incredibly rich and full of meaning. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Jesus, Son of God, Emmanuel, God with us, is speaking with the full authority and power of the Father. They are one and the same within this Holy Trinity. And then Jesus' commandment, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded of you. These words come directly from Jesus' mouth, commanding us to go and make disciples of all nations. Go, make disciples. Baptize, teach. So straightforward in principle, and yet, as Tom Wright suggests, so daunting and so demanding to put into practice. But of course, this is not merely the great commandment, because the command is all on the receiver. Do this, do that. You can obey or you can disobey. You can succeed or fail. But no matter how it turns out, it's all on you. You're on your own. You've been commanded, and now you must simply obey. And of course, that isn't God's style at all. It isn't Jesus' style. No, this is the Great Commission. And commissioning is a very different sort of animal. It's far more inclusive, much more of a team effort. When you're commissioned to do something, you are not merely commanded, but you are also equipped, empowered, and given the necessary authority to accomplish your duty. Police officers and military leaders are commissioned into their offices, invested with the necessary authority and appropriately equipped and supported to accomplish their mission. And to dig into the language just a little bit, that word mission comes from the Latin to send, and particularly to be sent with a specific purpose. Adding the prefix com, meaning with, gives it an even richer concept of being sent along with someone's authority and trust, and with the tools to achieve what is desired. And that, of course, is what our poor audit junior Tom experienced a short while ago, for whom the simple command, go and audit Megabank next week, is so totally overwhelming. And how different it is once he's been equipped with the knowledge, the tools, and the authority that he needs to achieve his mission. And how different it is again when he recognizes that he is also equipped with the specific gifts that he needs to be able to do the job. Gifts that he perhaps forgets that he has, or at the very least takes for granted. There are strong parallels in our lives too, of course, as Jesus' disciples seeking to help fulfill God's mission to the world, the Missio Dei. As fully commissioned disciples of Jesus, we're not only given a task to make disciples and to baptize and to teach them, but we're given the tools to succeed as well. As Jesus stresses in the very last words of this gospel, He, God, Father, Son, and Spirit, is with us always, to the end of the age. We are equipped by God through the Holy Spirit. And of course, like Tom, we're equipped with the individual gifts with which God has generously endowed us. Although God's mission to the world and our role within it can feel deeply overwhelming at times, we should feel confident that we are entirely commissioned to do the job, carrying God's full authority. Just pause for a moment and think about that. Each of us carries God's full authority. We're equipped through the Holy Spirit and through our own human gifts. Which brings us to that tricky question of vocation or calling, which represents our role within God's mission to the world. As a church and as individuals, we can discern God's mission in our world and across our community. We can see what he's seeking to achieve in the world around us. We can identify our gifts, our particular equipping for God's service. And having done that, we can hopefully identify our own vocation, our calling, what God is specifically calling us to do in the world, and how we can simply join in with what he is already doing. It's our reason for being, the thing that makes our soul sing, the thing that makes us feel most human, most ourselves, most complete. And of course, we might find our vocation here in the gathered church, or we might find it out there in the community or in our place of work, in the sent church. Or we might find different aspects of our calling that span what we do here in the gathered church on a Sunday morning and what we do as the sent church in the places we occupy and the roles that we play during the week. But to my mind, there is no doubt that finding our reason for living, what the Japanese call our ichigai, is absolutely fundamental to each and every one of us.
Really just to remind you things that are on the update, things that are coming up. So next Sunday there's a walk at 2:30. Yeah, Michael and Carol are organising that walk, so come along if you can. On the 17th, Michael and Carol are also very busy because it's the Wendover Community Singers concerts. There are 2 concerts on that day, one at 2 o'clock and one at 7 o'clock, with slightly different content, is that right? No. Oh no, they're exactly the same. Okay, so the first performance of the children's choir that's been building up over the year. So please come along to that. It was wonderful last year. You can get tickets from Carol today or from the Just Shop, but please put that in your diary. Come and enjoy that. The following weekend, the weekend of the 24th and 25th, on the Saturday afternoon, Matthew Ratledge and 11 others are going to be ordained priest here by Bishop Allen. So it's going to be a big service that I'm afraid I can't say everybody welcome because there's sort of allocated seating. But it will be live streamed. You'll be able to watch that. We do need people to help because you imagine with that number of folk, we've actually got the Chiltern Way car park. So we'll need stewards for that and make sure that people aren't parking in silly places on Church Lane. We've got to get everybody in. It's communion as well, so we'll need stewards for that. And then we're serving drinks outside. So if you're around and are able to help, either have a word with me or drop Veronica an email because she's organising who's going to be doing what. Then on the 25th, we're having a joint service at 10 o'clock, and that's the first time that Matthew will actually celebrate communion. So a very, very special occasion for him, and everybody is welcome to come along to that service. So those dates are there. The other thing that I wanted to highlight was, and it was on the update, but you may be aware that Abbeyfield House is sort of under threat, as with quite a number of other Abbeyfield homes. And they're asking for our support to write and sort of, express concern about that. Obviously, for the people who are living there, it's a real concern for them. It's the only assisted housing in Wendover, and there's only a small group of them. They've not been able to fill places, but still, let's see if we can support them. And on Saturday, they've got a fun afternoon where lots will be happening, and I think as much would like people to go to that, so they're sort of showing support to them. So there was a poster on the update, if you like to look at that, and if you feel you want to write, then please do. I think that's all. Thank you. Who needs a piece of paper? All up here. All up here. So. Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, so another thing that's happening next Sunday, feels like June's just got very filled up. We're doing a newcomers afternoon tea. So I know some of you have been invited. If you'd like to come along, it's going to be at 36 Coniston House. No, 36 Dobbins Lane, which is Coniston House. Confusion is, that is Sally and Paul O'Halloran's house. Next door to the vicarage, that's Sally and Paul Mooring. So make sure you go to the right one. But if you would like to be able to go to that, have a word with Trish afterwards. And if there's anybody who would like to be able to come along and support that as well, then you'd be welcome. Thank you, Trish, for reminding me that.